Hey everybody, welcome to the video. Let's start with my core plays for week 2 of the NFL season over on Draftkings. Not really caring too much about ownership here, just my straight up favorite plays on the entire slate. This should be a pretty sweet, short and to the point video, taking around only 10 to 15 minutes of your time. But before we continue, as always, if you guys could just leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, you might as well hit that subscribe button. I know we're all season long trying to help you guys become better NFL DFS players, and I cover other sports as well. So if you're going to keep coming back to the channel each and every single day or each and every single week, you might as well hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out whenever I post new videos. And if you want to follow me on social media, my handles are on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. And if you miss more content over on Patreon, always much appreciated. We got over 300 members currently. You can hop into the Discord chat, ask me questions, ask the other members questions, or just come in, hang out. Always a good time in the Discord chat. And you get access to my entire NFL DFS data sheet, which does include some extra stuff that I do, more so than I preview for you guys on the first look and final thoughts videos, including a cheat sheet with notes and a bunch of other stuff as well. So if you're interested, links down below. If not, whatever, that's fine. Let's just dive into the core plays. And also, really quick, my nose is a little bit nasally right now, or my voice I should say, so hopefully it doesn't sound too bad for you guys, and I do apologize for that. But anyway, let's dive into core play number 1. Who is no other than Derrick Henry, the beast of a man himself. I mean, just look at the picture behind me. He is an absolute monster of a man, and it's going to be very hard for Jacksonville to stop him. He actually has some really good history versus Jacksonville as well, including that monster, like 200 yards rushing, 99-yard touchdown, 4-touchdown game versus them. Not saying that's going to happen again, but it still happened versus the Jaguars. And the Titans check in as a 7.5-point favorite at home here, which is a perfect game script for Derrick Henry because he's not someone I typically think of getting involved into the passing game much. Now, he did see 3 targets last week, and he did equate 34 total touches, which is absolutely insane. If he can get 34 touches again versus the Jaguars, he's going to blow the 7,900 price tag out of the water. But the game script sets up very well for Derrick Henry. They should be able to pound the rock for the most part, and they have a pretty healthy 26 implied team total. So I'm thinking most of that's going to come from probably Derrick Henry for the most part. Would not surprise me if we see multiple touchdowns from him. And if we're looking at the volume last week, I mean, that's not really something we have to worry about with Derrick Henry. We saw in the back half of last season, they just rode Derrick Henry to the playoffs and in the playoffs as well. But 31 rushing attempts last week, 116 rushing yards, only at 3.7 yards per carry. But look, this is a very, very soft matchup versus Jacksonville. And you also saw 3 targets, which if you're going to give me a handful of targets for Derrick Henry, it's only going to make me like him a little bit more. Now, I don't really need him to be involved in the passing game because he's just so dominant on the ground. So if he just gets me 30-plus carries with 0 targets, whatever, I will take that. But if he's going to be involved in the passing game a little bit, just an added boost. And this matchup is just pristine versus Jacksonville. They were 31st due versus the run last season. At over 31 Draftkings points per game to running backs and nearly 120 rushing yards per game with over a rushing touchdown per game as well. So Derrick Henry, he's in a smash spot. This Jacksonville defense is pretty depleted for the most part, and Henry should be able to have his way. So I want you to know that I also like Zeke Elliott. He was very close to making the core plays list, but I have a couple of spend-up options here, which I don't want to bombard you guys with spend-up options because I realize it's not easy making a lineup with a bunch of spend-up guys. So I left out Zeke, but just know he's very close. He's pretty much 1A and 1B with Derrick Henry this week in whatever order you prefer, to be honest. Personally, I'm like 1A on Derrick Henry, 1B on Zeke Elliott, but it's interchangeable. Then we'll move on to core play number 2 here, with the new starting running back of the Indianapolis Colts, Jonathan Taylor, who we're all probably pretty excited to play. I mean, obviously there's a lot of buzz heading into the regular season, or just the 2020 season of the NFL, just specifically for Jonathan Taylor here. And we're going to get to see what he's made of for the most part here. He's going to be the lead back for the Colts, and they have an awesome offensive line here. If you're looking at the PFF numbers, he is one of the biggest offensive line versus defensive line run blocking advantages for the entire week at 75% advantage here. And look, he's going to get those Phillip Rivers dump offs we saw last week. He had 6 targets, caught 6 balls for 67 receiving yards, and he should be able to get us around 15 to 20 touches on the ground. And this is a pretty good matchup here versus Minnesota. And this game's got a pretty nice over-under as well. It's got a, let me see if I can find it really quick. A 49-point over-under, and the Colts have a 26 implied team total, and they're also 3-point favorites at home as well. But Jonathan Taylor, he's going to be a dual threat where he's going to be involved in the passing game. He's going to be involved on the ground, obviously, as well. So if he can get us around 20 touches, if not more, versus the Minnesota Vikings defense, which did not look very good last week, you can sign me up for Jonathan Taylor at 5,700. He's probably going to end up being the highest owned running back on the entire slate, so he's definitely someone you want to go with cash games. As for tournaments, I don't mind pivoting off him and go with Nyheim Hines because he's going to be involved as well, and he's just a little bit cheaper at 5,300. But in cash games, you're just plugging in Jonathan Taylor, just taking the chalk running back. I mean, he's super talented, and he's in a good offense. He's going to get Phillip Rivers dump offs, and he's got a good offensive line, and he's also pretty cheap. So he pretty much checks each and every single box here. So absolutely love Jonathan Taylor, and I think he is an excellent option, especially at that very low price tag of 5,700. And that price is only going to go up as the season progresses. So you might as well buy in now before it gets too expensive. All right, and core play number 3 for me is Davante Adams. He was in the core plays list last week, and he just went absolutely off. Did not expect him to get 44 DraftKings points. I thought he'd have like a solid, maybe a 10 target, 7 catch, 100-yard game with a touchdown. But no, he took it up a whole nother level. He had 156 receiving yards on 14 catches with 17 targets and 2 touchdowns with a 41% target share, a 97% weighted opportunity share, and nearly 50% of the team's air yards. I mean, the guy was just absolutely amazing, and I don't see why that's going to be any different here versus the Detroit Lions. I mean, their secondary is just not going to be very good. He's going to see a rookie cornerback for the most part today, I guess today when you guys are watching this video, and they were 29th DVO versus the pass last year, allowed 42 DraftKings points to wide receivers, 190 receiving yards per game, and 1.25 touchdown per game as well to wide receivers. And I'm pretty much viewing as Davante Adams as the Michael Thomas of the 2019 season, in which Michael Thomas, he was super consistent each and every single week. I don't typically love spending up for wide receivers, but I always made an exception for Michael Thomas because we knew the volume was going to be there each and every single week, and he pretty much put up running back like consistency. He had double-digit points, I believe, in pretty much every single game besides one last year. And Davante Adams, the target's going to be there. He's obviously very talented. He's got Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball, and the wide receiver one for Aaron Rodgers is typically a pretty profitable position to use in DFS. So love Davante Adams here. The matchup's great, and I see no reason why he can't. I'm not saying he's going to get 45 DraftKings points again, but it would not surprise me if he gets 30-plus points. I mean, the matchup's great, the talent's there, and the volume's there, so he pretty much checks every single box. And they also have a team total of 28, which is one of the higher ones on the slate, and a 49.5 point over-under, and this does have shootout potential if the Lions can keep up. So definitely love Davante Adams, and he's another smash spot. And moving on to core play number 4, we have Amari Cooper at 6,300. And for the life of me, I cannot understand the pricing on him this week. And for the most part, the Cowboys are underpriced. You can get a good price tag on Amari Cooper. Zeke Elliott's fairly priced at, I believe, 8,200. Dak Prescott, 6,800. It's a little up there for a quarterback, but even then, it seems a bit too cheap. I think he could be above 7K. But the wide receiver group is too cheap, going in a really good matchup here versus Atlanta. Cooper, 6,300, too cheap. I believe Michael Gallup's 5,600 if I remember off the top of my head. Then you got CeeDee Lamb at 4,700. I think CeeDee Lamb, you can make a case to make him a core play too. If you don't want to spend 6,300 for Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb's only 4,700. He saw 7 targets last week, so you can pretty much put the entire Cowboys wide receiver group as this core play section here, but I want to specifically use Amari Cooper because I think he's just way underpriced. He's a very, very talented wide receiver, and I love the Cowboys here. They have a super high team total of 29, and over under 53.5 in this game. This is going to be an elite game for offense. And there's a ton of fantasy-friendly options in this game. Matt Ryan, Dak Prescott, Julio Jones, Zeke, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, Calvin Ridley, Hayden Hurst, Michael Gallup. I mean, this game is loaded. You can easily stack this game up. There's a lot of affordable options in this game as well. So keep in mind it's going to be a very popular game, and I think you got to get exposure to at least one Cowboy player in your lineup. I mean, if it's not Amari Cooper and if it's not Zeke, at least try to throw in a Dak or a Michael Gallup or a CeeDee Lamb because I think one of these guys is going to have a huge, huge game. But I love how this sets up for Amari Cooper. He typically plays better at home and is a home favorite as well. So I really like Amari Cooper. The volume was there last week if you're looking at the numbers. He had 10 receptions on 13 targets, had a 37% target share, an 88% weighted opportunity share, nearly half of the team's air yards, and now 8 out of only 8.1, but he's going to be a very safe, consistent play here. And like I said, he had double-digit catches last week for only 81 yards, but that is totally fine. If he can find himself into the end zone, he should be a very, very good play here, and that price tag is just way, way too low. And if you're looking at the matchup versus Atlanta, they got shredded by the Seahawks last week. Russell Wilson had a huge game, and the receivers did very well as well. And they were 25th DVA versus the pass last season, allowed over 160 receiving yards per game, over 35 DraftKings points per game to wide receivers, and nearly a touchdown per game as well. And also, both teams played at a very high pace in week 1, and they did last year as well. So this game just scream shootout, and I definitely want pieces from it. And Amari Cooper, I think, has a huge ceiling in this game, and he should definitely be over the 7K. And at 6,300, you're just getting an absolute steal here. And now for the last core play, I have a bit of a value play here because I want to list just a bunch of expensive guys and mid-range guys. And that would be Corey Davis at only 4,000. I think he's going to be pretty popular. I liked him heading into the week. I thought he would be I didn't think he was going to be a low-owned play, but I thought he'd be a decent contrarian play because we were assuming A.J. Brown was going to play, and I figured most people would go with A.J. Brown. Most people would play Derrick Henry, so I thought he'd be kind of not the forgotten man on the Titans, but at least a decent pivot off of those guys. But with A.J. Brown being out now, it's pretty much going to lead to Corey Davis being one of the highest owned receivers on the slate, but it's also a very good spot. Jacksonville's defense is just going to be pretty poor for the most part this season. Now, I really like the run game for the Titans by far, and I don't love playing a wide receiver and a running back from the Titans here. But, I mean, this price tag's just drawing me in, so I'm going to probably end up just plugging in Corey Davis at that price point. Now, Scotty Miller, I believe he's 4,100. Also, Brashad Perriman at 3,800. They're also very viable here, so if you don't want to play two Titans in your cash game lineup or just your main lineup, I get it. But I love this price tag on Corey Davis, and he looked really good in week 1, and that was with A.J. Brown playing. He had 8 targets in that game. See if I can pull up his exact numbers. So, week 1 stat line was 8 targets, 7 catches for 101 yards with a 20% target share and a 41% market share of the team's air yards. And now you're going to take A.J. Brown off the field. He's going to be the guy here. I think that's also a boost for Jonnu Smith, and I just really think they're going to rely on the run game for the most part. But Corey Davis, if he can get us around 6 to 10 targets here, which I think is totally capable of doing that. Now, I will say the Titans did throw the ball 43 times last week, which I can't expect that to happen again, especially if they're playing from the lead. They should look to rely on Derrick Henry, but at 4,000, he should get us 5 to 10 targets, and he's a talented wide receiver. He's a former first-round pick, and he looked really good. He had some really nice catches in week 1, so he shouldn't have to do much to pay off his price tag, and I definitely don't mind buying the dip on that $4,000 salary. But if you're looking at the Jaguars' numbers for last season versus wide receivers, they were 22nd DVA versus the pass, only 32.1 Draftkings points per game, and only 0.63 touchdowns per game. But again, this defense has changed for the worst, and I love that price tag on Corey Davis, which I think I've said like 40 times. So you guys get the idea by now. But there's also some other viable cheap wide receiver options like CeeDee Lamb, Paris Campbell. I was going to say T.Y. Hilton, but he's 5,700, not 4,700. You also have Scotty Miller, which I already mentioned, Brashad Perriman, and a couple of other guys as well. So I don't think you have to play Corey Davis, but he's my favorite guy of that bunch. But I think that's going to be it for the video, guys. So I hope this was helpful. If it was, make sure you leave a like. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out. I really do appreciate it. Hope you guys do very well in all your contests today, and I hope all of your favorite teams happen to win. So appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys in the Monday Night Football Showdown video.